Hello and welcome. I'm Carl Seibert. A couple of months ago, I did a blog post on artificial intelligence image recognition. Is it useful yet? Is it ready for prime time? That sort of a post. For one reason or another, I didn't do a video then, and now I'm circling back. This is the video for that blog post. The most interesting image for that blog post was definitely this one. Now, this picture was sent to me because I have a smart car. And here we have the smart car logo plastered all over these beautiful beach volleyball players. And it also means that this is perhaps the only opportunity I will ever have to have a YouTube thumbnail of women in bikinis for my metadata blog, or at least bikini-like attire. But by the time this picture reached me, it had no metadata. It had been completely stripped clean. Now, back at the time, I wanted to find out where the picture came from, who owned it, who the people were, and that sort of thing. Now, I can use this picture without a license. Copyright law allows you to quote a work for criticism or education without a license. But nevertheless, I wanted to know where the picture came from, and if possible, find an original and find the original metadata so that we could see how that compares with what the robots did. Long story short, I failed. I used reverse image search. I used TinEye. I reached out to people. I followed up on clues. I put hours into the effort, and I never did find my way back to the original picture. Now, loyal readers and viewers will know that one of the things that we're trying to accomplish with metadata is we're trying to empower honest users of pictures to be honest users of pictures. We should make it possible for them to find their way back to the original picture, and if they need a license, contact the copyright owner and get one. By stripping the metadata off this picture, that made that task nearly impossible. However, long story short, a few days ago, I was doing reverse image searches, and I was inspired to try this one again, and lo and behold, look what happened. 2 months is a pretty long time in the internet. And here we have Google reverse image searches has improved in 2 months. It did a better job with this picture. It's also very amusing because the top result for pages that used this picture was my own use of the picture on my blog. And in point of fact, Google's best guess for what this picture is the cloud site image recognition service. And indeed, my use of the picture was a screenshot from the cloud site page. But this time around, we find our way to this use of the picture on Twitter. Now, this tweet is from the FIVB's own account. That's the Beach Volleyball Association. And I had surmised that this picture was a handout picture from the Volleyball Association. Correctly, as it turned out. So we have some clues. Top seeds Semler and Holtwick starting the Berlin Grand Slam tournament against an Italian team. So I went to the FIVB's website and looked around to find Semler and Holtzwick and the Italians. And I found them. But there's something wrong here. Do you notice something a little bit amiss? The jerseys have changed color. As it turns out, our Twitter picture is really from the 2013 Berlin Grand Slam. Semler and Holtzwick are playing a Czechoslovakian team, Markéta Silikova and Kristina Holikova, who interestingly enough went on to win the 2014 tournament. And this tweet is ostensibly an advance to the tournament. But it doesn't say that. It doesn't clearly identify that it is in fact using a 2013 picture of Semler and Holtzwick, playing Solikova and Kolikova, not the Italians. Folks, we've talked about writing captions before, and we have some obligations when we do captions. It doesn't matter if you're the photo curator, or the sports editor, or the publisher, or just some person posting on Facebook. You have an absolute obligation not to misrepresent a photo that you are describing, and to accurately portray its relationship to the context of the event or subject that you're talking about. And that's easy enough to do. When we're writing a caption like this is a teachable moment. When you have to write a caption like this, the comma is your friend. Semler and Holtzwick, seen here defeating Solikova and Kolikova in the 2013 Berlin Grand Slam, are set to do whatever, start the tournament for 2014. A somewhat less elegant, but unfortunately very popular form of doing that is comma, seen here in a 2013 file photo. You can do better than that if you put your mind to it. But do put your mind to it. That's a very serious obligation. It should be taken very seriously. Now, on Twitter, you've only got 140 characters. That's a serious handicap, but it doesn't release you from your obligation. The best I suppose you could do on Twitter would be to use the future tense to suggest at least that this is indeed an advanced use of the picture. Yet another reason for my belief that the world would be a better place if Twitter wasn't in it. But the good news is, I did find our picture in its original released version from the FIVB, and it has its original metadata on it. So at the end, we'll be able to look and we'll be able to see how the humans did compared with how the robots did. So let's now take a look at some of these services, and we'll see how they do 2 months on from the first time we visited them. First up, we have a Kiwi, which is an interactive auto-tagging service. And by image recognition services, that's what we're talking about here, is auto-tagging. So it's going to be a little unfair in this particular service's case because it learns from your interaction from it. So here we have a Kiwi's keywords for this picture. And this is better than we did last time. This service has improved. These are machine learning services, artificial intelligence, that's what it does. And we've learned a little bit. So here we have some keywords: sport, summer, beach, volleyball, net, woman, ball. Excuse me, do you see a ball in this picture? I don't either. Play, recreation, team, game, girl, fun, player, and sand. Those are actually not bad keywords right there. Now, we have to understand something about keywording because we're talking about replacing human effort with robotic effort. But let's get something off our chest right now. Humans aren't very good at this. Humans are actually pretty terrible at this. So, workload notwithstanding, we're kind of pulling for the robots here. This is the kind of job that robots can do really well, with a couple of caveats. It's machine learning, so the robotic understanding of pictures going forward is going to evolve, just like it does with human beings. We've built them in our own image, and in this particular case, we've built in some of our own faults. But let's move along. Things are looking up. A Kiwi did better than we did the first time. Next along here, we have Twitter. Now, I'm sorry. Next along here, we have Flickr. Now, Flickr has an auto-tagging feature. There we go. And here's what we have. Sand and people. Okay, there are people in the picture. There is sand in the picture, but I don't think those are very useful keywords at all. Next up, let's visit Clarify. So we will go to the demo site. Quite ironically, Clarify wants to know if we're a robot. Well, okay. Only one of us on this boat is a robot. And we will give it our picture and let's see what it does. Aha! Clarify did much better this time than it did before. Clarify, if we remember from before, was obsessed with the outfits that the players were wearing. 2 months ago, many of these services seemed to be obsessed with clothing. Now, I'm a kind of a thrift store sport coat and jeans kind of guy, so, to each his own. But it's understandable because clothing is objects, and objects are easier to recognize than activities or concepts. But here we go. Volleyball, competition. Volley, okay, if you say so. Woman, now that's a point. 2 months ago, not one single one of these services recognized that these were indeed women. Interesting. Athlete, yup. Leisure, not really sure. These are pro sports. Beach, recreation, sand, fitness, adult, action and energy. I'll take your word for it. Web, don't know. Tournament, yes, that's useful. It's exercise, yes, it's summer. I think we've been there. It's active. Championship? That's interesting. Because, of course, it's not. This photo was a middle round in the 2013 tournament, and it was using it as an advance, allegedly before the 2014 tournament even began, depending on what you think of timestamps. Wear, okay. And sunglasses. This is actually not bad. These are actually fairly useful keywords. We're seeing a different pattern develop than we saw just 2 months ago. Next up, we have Amazon Web Services recognition. Now, in my experiments, this has been both a very good image recognition service, and we've seen it throw up its hands and walk away a couple of times. Let's see how it does with our volleyball people. Now, this is what we call in sports photography a jubo picture. It's a reaction picture. We've already noted that there's no volleyball in this picture. And it's one of the reasons why I liked it as a test subject. Are these services going to be able to recognize that this is beach volleyball? You and I, or at least anyone who lives near a beach, will recognize beach volleyball absolutely instantly. But if you break it down to the clues, the volleyball is not in this picture. And these people aren't in a pose typical of action in the sport. Now, volleyball pictures tend to be reaction pictures, and this does tend to look like a jubilation picture, but it could be a jubilation picture in a number of other sports too. But let's see how we do. We have a little bit of a net here, and we have some sand. Those are concrete clues that we're dealing with beach volleyball. Here we have human beings. Okay. A little on the general side, but all right, sure, fine. Nobody is ever going to search for this picture using a search term of human. Or people, for that matter, or person. This is kind of like hedging. This is kind of like, when you didn't study and you're trying to make the cliff notes look like something real. Bikini. This is technically half correct, I guess. Clothing. The clothing obsession is back. Once again, nobody is ever going to search for this picture under the keyword of clothing. And swimwear, which is another kind of form of bikini. Yeah, okay. All right. So this service is not doing as well as Clarify did. We open to expand. We have sport, sports, team, team sport, volleyball. Hey, it's down there, but it's got 88% confidence, so that's not bad. And only a 50-50 shot that these human beings are female. Okay? Not a terrible showing, but not the best that we have seen either. Now, let's go to CloudSight. Now, CloudSight was the image recognition service that Google thought this picture represented. It thought this picture was CloudSight, and that was based on CloudSight being first up in my blog in the recognition services that we tried. And ironically, I sort of savaged CloudSight in the blog. It didn't really do very well at all. Let's see how it does now. Okay, so this is what CloudSight has returned. And these are, it's code for developers. And all it's telling us here is that we have a black sports bra, which once again represents the obsession with clothing. It's not technically accurate. That's a jersey, not a sports bra. And hey, let's think big picture here, guys. There's a couple of women playing beach volleyball. It's about beach volleyball. Okay, so we haven't seen a lot of improvement there. Now, Google Cloud Vision did the best last time. Let's see how they do this time. And here we go. Aha! Well, facial recognition, we have joy, and we have headwear. Well, it's a jubilation picture, and Miss Holtwick is, in fact, wearing a headband, which is headwear. That's pretty good. Let's see what else Google tells us. Aha! We have a team sport. We have sports. Again, a bit soggy. It's probably not going to be a search term, but it's legit. It's a sports picture. It's not a fashion picture or a portrait or something like that. Beach volleyball. Yes, beach volleyball. Swimwear. Okay, it's on the beach. You wear swimwear. They are wearing swimwear. Good. Competition event. Yes, they understand they're playing sports. Volleyball is, in fact, a ball game. Competition, a tiny bit redundant. Volleyball, in the more general sense, yes. It's summer. It's fun. Ball over a net games. That's a new one. And of course, most digital asset management systems will break that up into separate terms. Ball over. A is a stop word in every system in the world. Net and games. So, iffy. And shorts. Okay. Clothing obsession again. And no, they're not really wearing shorts. But in just 2 months' time, we've seen some improvement. And we've seen some pretty useful keywords. Now let's take a look and see how the human being did this. Let's go back and go to, here we are. We're on our picture. We're looking at the metadata in, I've called this the original picture. I should really call it the official picture. This is the version of this picture that was released by the FIVB on their website as a handout. So first, we have a caption here that is not winning any awards for captions at all, really. Something missing? Like the names of the players? That's kind of pretty basic. And in point of fact here, if we go down through this metadata, the names of the players never appear. So we have to call out the photographer, one Connie Kurth, for that. But let's look at Connie's keywords. Here we have the date, probably totally unnecessary as a keyword. Here we have the original camera file name for this photo. That's interesting. It's legitimate as a keyword. I'm not sure I would put it there, but it's a legitimate keyword. We have the venue, that's the stadium, that's the city, the FIVB Berlin Grand Slam. Good. It's the name of the tournament. That's a legitimate keyword. That should probably be in the caption as well, but that is an absolutely legitimate keyword. It's volleyball. It's beach volleyball as all one word. I don't think that's ever going to be a search term to find this picture, frankly. But okay, we should have beach and volleyball as two separate words. It's action, yes it is, as opposed to something else. Ball, once again, folks, does anybody here see a ball in this picture? No. Player, as opposed, I suppose, to the management of the FIVB, or perhaps a venue or something like that. Cool. FIVB, yep, a legitimate search term. Grand Slam, yes indeedy, it is the Berlin Grand Slam. And we do understand that most systems will search keywords as individual words, despite our efforts to make compound keywords separated by commas, which is what the standard says we're able to do. It's the World Tour, yes it is. And it is the main draw women. That's what part of the tournament it is. And that's probably a very useful keyword for folks at the FIVB when they're looking for pictures to post on their website, in their galleries or whatnot. So here we have it. The computer did really pretty well. Collectively, the better ones did about as well as the human being, who, keywording-wise, did a really good job with this metadata. I mean, the fact that the names of the players aren't here is inexcusable, and it wouldn't be that much effort to write a proper caption if we remember from the episode where we looked at captions for a hockey game, for a National Hockey League game. You can write a sentence and you can substitute in the names of the players and the particular piece of action that's happening. That's not that hard. And in this particular case, it's volleyball. You give up a little bit of nuance, but basically the same caption works for the entire game, or maybe even the entire match. So there we have it. I don't quite know what to make of this. It seems to me at this moment, I would think that the robotic image recognition systems are doing well enough to be given a go. Hand in hand, probably, with human minders. But I think these things are tools that have evolved, at least as far as this volleyball picture is concerned, enough to be actually useful. But what do you think? What do you make of all of this? Well, let us know. Reach out in the comments below or on the blog. You can go back to the original post, or on social media. Again, I'm Carl Seibert, and until next time, mind your metadata.